Welcome everyone to another awesome episode on the Regenerative Living channel. I'm your host Daniel Garcia, and today we'll be talking about how I make compost tea in my backyard space and what I use to do it. So let's get started. So first off, let's go over all the equipment that you're going to be needing in order to produce this compost tea. First and foremost, we're going to need a high quality water filter, or at least dechlorinated water. It's very important because the water in your pipes actually, the reason that it comes with chlorine is because they don't want any bad microbes to multiply in your pipes and get you sick. That being said, it also kills good microbes in your garden space. So we're going to want to protect those good microbes with a quality garden grow water filter. So now that we got this attached to the hose, which I've already got attached to my hose, we will then, so now let's look at our tea kit. This is our 5-gallon kit. It does not come with a bucket, but that's just because they're readily available anywhere. If you're going to get one yourself, make sure if it's recycled, there was no chemical stored in it. So what your kit will come with is a brew bag. This is handmade in the United States, triple stitched, and pretty much just you can't break this thing. It was made to last a lifetime. You can scrub your brewer with it. It's just really amazing. On top of that, it's got an optimal pore space. So Dr. Lane Ingham recommends 400 micron size of holes in order for the optimal extraction of the biology. If most tea bags are actually in the 300 micron range, and unfortunately, yes, that will let a lot of microbes out, but if they happen to come sideways at that hole, they may get stuck, and so we're getting less overall extraction of those organisms. And so this is a better bag to get the optimal amount of beneficial organisms in your fluid, in your tea or in your extract to then use in your garden. So definitely want to use 400 micron tea bag. This is what's called the bubble snake. It's a great alternative to the conventional air stone approach, which you might see in like an aquarium kind of fish tank setup. Air stones, when used with compost tea, and it actually is done pretty regularly, unfortunately can lead to a tea contamination and can ruin your tea because the little pore spaces in that air stone can hold bad biology, can hold foods, and thus house the future contamination. Where this doesn't have any of that, it's very easy to clean and put the two pieces together like so. There's a set of holes on the bottom to disperse the air that sits right on the bottom of the bucket, and then our air pump attached here is going to actually attach to this. Now I probably should have screwed this onto here first, because now I got to kind of do a little spinning maneuver to get it on there. Okay, it's happening. Okay, so now it's on there. We've successfully attached our air pump. It's time to turn on our air so that this line is pressurized before we add our non-chlorinated water. Alrighty, so it's probably a little bit harder to hear me. I'm gonna get a little closer. That being said, this pump can be slightly noisy, and that's why we have it hanging. When it's sitting on a surface, it will actually vibrate on that surface and it can get even louder. Another thing important to note is if you're going to have, it's important to have the air higher than the water level, the air pump that is, and that's because if there is an accident and electricity goes out, we do not want the water to then travel through the airline into the air pump, and then ruining your air pump. So for safety reasons, keep the air pump above the water level. And yeah, let's get started. Let's add some filtered water. So currently I'm filling the bucket again with non-chlorinated water, and it's optimal to ensure that we only fill the bucket to about 75, maybe 80% water level maximum, and that's to make sure that the water does not, as it bubbles, especially because it will kind of have a froth or a foam on top, we don't want that to bubble over. It's just going to create a big mess, and it's going to create a lot of work at the end. So make sure to keep your water level, again, about 75%, the total height of your 5-gallon bucket. So one little quick tip that I forgot to mention is that this little brewer, this bubbler, likes to float around a little bit, and it's helpful to secure it. So included in the kit is actually a bungee, and so we just place the bungee like so through the ring, attach it on one side of the bucket, and then attach it on the other side of the bucket, And now your bubble snake is secure, it's not going anywhere. Okay, so next let's get started with ingredients. The Boogie Brew Heavy Harvest is a 2-part formula that we provide, and again I use the bigger of they come in different pound increments. I use the largest because it saves me the most amount of money per brew. But that being said, again, it's 2 parts, and so you'll need to use even parts in your brew bag. The package will tell you, and I will tell you as well, that you can either use 1/2 cup for like a mild strength, or a full cup of each ingredient for a full strength tea. Now, what we're going to do today is we're actually going to make a very biodiverse compost tea. So we're going to show you how to use this in conjunction with our Robust Compost. So first we're going to make compost extract, and that's very simple. It's actually one of my favorite things to do. You guys are getting some extra bonus footage right here. Yeah, this extract is really amazing because basically think of this as a pillow of ingredients. If it gets too full, if we put all of the ingredients in here, it actually can create an environment where there's low oxygen. So we don't want to put too much ingredients in this bag. Dr. Elaine Ingham recommends for compost tea using roughly about 1 pound of compost. That's definitely a little bit more than we're using here, and so we're going to make up the extra compost with this very specialty lab-tested compost. It carries a biodiverse set of organisms, an entire ecosystem actually, with predators and prey, rather than this basic compost tea is more focused on bacteria. Both are extremely beneficial, and we use both again, but it's just different tools in the regenerative toolbox is all. So again, we have 2 cups of Robust Compost, and we're going to place that in here. So again, 4 cups is the this out. Okay, so this is 1 cup. So now we're at 3 cups. And 4 cups is again what Dr. Elaine Ingham recommends. So the 4th cup of compost will actually come from the Boogie Brew. So we're gonna use 3 cups of compost right now. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold the bag and then tighten that. And that's just so all the particles don't float around in my tea. It really depends on how you apply your tea, whether you want particulates in it or not. If you're just gonna put it in a watering can or something super simple, it probably doesn't matter. But for me, I use a submersible pump, and I don't want it to get clogged. But again, so to make an extract, we now have our biology, and so now we're just dunking it. And as we're dunking it, we're kind of extracting these organisms. You can actually put your hand in here and lightly massage the compost. And again, lightly. You don't want to over massage it. You're not trying to squish and kill all those microbes. So be careful. So this technique's actually working better for me. So I have the bag open, and I'm just kind of dunking it lightly, and you get the material is kind of like fluffing up in the water, and as it's like kind of the material is kind of floating around in that water, then I quickly pull it up and extract some of the organisms out. This is a technique that works really well for me, but everyone can, do what works best for you. The idea is, though, to be gentle with the organisms and to do this for roughly about 30 seconds. You can do a little bit more if you want to be thorough. Extremely important note with ingredients is that you do not use more than the amounts that are recommended. Too many foods can actually grow the biology so fast that the oxygen that is being input from our air pump into our into our water will be not enough to actually supply the organisms that are growing, and the environment will change to a low oxygen environment. And now we're growing the organisms that we weren't trying to grow, and potentially pathogenic ones, which I've had that happen to me, where I actually had I put too much food ingredients and actually almost killed some of my plants. So definitely follow the directions, either a mild strength or a full strength, but not more than. Alright, so now we're moving on to the next step, which is actually adding our Boogie Brew Heavy Harvest tea ingredients. If you don't have Robust Compost or don't wish to include it in your compost tea, it's okay. You can ignore that last extraction step. And again, we're starting off with an empty bag. I actually took the Robust Compost that was in here after the extraction process and I applied it in my garden, put it under the mulch. That's really important. You want to put it under the mulch so it's not going to get hit by the sun and it's protected. So now we have our empty bag. We're going to follow the directions again on our compost tea bag, which says for a full strength tea, 1 cup of each ingredient. Okay. Go breathe that in. I mean, it's not like it's, you know, toxic material or anything. You just don't want to breathe in a bunch of particulates. Okay, so this is about a cup right here. So we're gonna put a cup again of our Boogie base, which is our set of biology. It's the compost. So now we have a full pound of compost going into this compost tea, as per Dr. Elaine Ingham's recommendations. And we get one more cup. And so this is the Boogie Boost, which is essentially all of the foods. These, again, there's about 15 different foods in here, maybe more, all completely organic, and it's just going to lend to growing a diversity of organisms. Diversity of foods means more diverse sets of organisms that we can grow. So now I'm just going to pour 1 cup into my measuring cup. Slightly over a cup. Less is more. Do not go over the amount of ingredients. We do not want to have our teas go anaerobic and provide an environment for the bad guys or for organisms that we weren't seeking on growing in the first place. So we have a cup now. Cool. So now we have followed the directions. We have 1 cup of one, 1 cup of another in our tea bag. All I'm gonna do is just give it a quick fold over and connect it so that my material stays in the bag. Gonna let this just kind of brew, essentially, steep, right? Gonna, kind of like how I did the extraction earlier, I'm gonna do that a couple times just to get some of the organisms and some of those foods into the water. You don't have to do it as long as you did the other extraction for. And so now that's attached, or excuse me, now that's in the water. I'm just gonna find a place to attach it. It really doesn't matter too much how you do this, just attach it. Okay, so now my compost tea is essentially brewing. All I have to do is wait about 24 to 48 hours for it to complete, and the way you tell time on how long it's going to take is based on your temperature. So if it's summertime and you're doing this, definitely can have it done in about 24 hours, maybe even 18 hours. If it's fall or winter, we might have to go for that 48 hours. So just depending on outdoor temperature will depend on how long we're going to be brewing for. Want to take a look? For those of you who didn't see the pump in the video, this is the commercial pump that comes with the kit, and this again is commercial. It is something that will last a very long time and is a standard in the actively aerated compost tea industry. It's a really high quality pump. Best of the best. All right, so this is what it should look like after you put all your materials in your tea bag and you've mounted it with your non-chlorinated water in your 5-gallon bucket, ensuring that your water level is at the right level. This is what compost tea is all about. Multiplying beneficial microbes, creating a happy, healthy future for us all. I hope you guys have a great day. Keep on growing.